Okay, good afternoon and welcome to Diversity MBA's Smart Leadership Webinar Series. I see some of us are entering. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I'm Larissa Williams. I am the Vice President for the Center of Excellence for Diversity MBA. And we are so excited that you've joined us today for this provocative topic on the art of designing your retirement income plan, income planning. I mean, this is very, very, very important to all of us. So I'm so excited about this topic. If this is your first time, welcome. And we are indeed so happy that you've taken the time out of your day to join our monthly webinar series for supporting your professional growth and development. Also, for the month of September, I just want to make this small announcement that we will not have a webinar next month. And that is because we are so excited to host Diversity MBA's 16th annual virtual National Leadership Conference on September 20th through the 22nd. So if you haven't done so already, please register to attend. This year, we've added an additional day of leadership development training focused on women's development and diversity recruiting on the very first day. So be sure to register. Please visit our website at diversitymbamagazine.com for more information. So exciting. But before we get started, I have a couple of housekeeping announcements. We are recording today's session, and the recording will be shared with our member company partners immediately following the session. Should you have any questions for our speaker, please type them in the chat and they will be addressed during the Q&A portion of today's program. Now, it is indeed my pleasure to introduce our wealth and financial expert of today's discussion, DeLayna Elliott. She is a certified life and financial coach with over 30 years of experience in finance and life insurance. As the CEO of W3 Women with Wealth and managing partner of World Fidelity, can't say that word, World Fidelity Life, and our frequent radio show guest and financial advisor for Diversity MBA's Inclusive Voice radio show, and the creator of Mind Your Money. It is so indeed a pleasure to welcome you today, DeLayna. So take it over. It's all yours.
Larissa and Sasha, thank you so much, and welcome to the Diversity MBA Smart Series. I'm so excited. I have the opportunity to actually host our CEO, Ms. Pam McIlvaine herself. We're here on the gorgeous grounds of the Carolina Inn, the Pinehurst Resort, in my home state of North Carolina. And so I have, again, just the pleasure of being with her and energies flowing. And so I'm very, very excited that we are able to bring this seminar here to you today. The art of designing your retirement income plan is such a powerful topic for me. With 30 years in the industry, my husband and I are instant grandparents. My son married an awesome, beautiful young lady with two gorgeous daughters. And so we are in that realm, if you will, of helping couples, helping corporate executives, helping ministry leaders. I specialize in women, but World Fidelity Life definitely has opportunity to help anyone that needs retirement income planning. But this is an opportunity, again, for us to huddle up. Most of you are at lunch, and so I want to make sure that we use your time wisely. So with that said, let's just jump right into it. Wealth is a result of recoding the mind, healing the money wounds, and applying principles of growing money. As I'm teaching in my Mind Your Money courses, we really begin with healing money wounds. And the reason why I like to start with that as we talk about retirement income planning is because sometimes we are working so hard and we are in the grind, right? And so the last of many planning is income, because you're just working and you're working, and your relationship with your money a lot of times determines how much attention you pay to it. if you're investing in, or contributing to a 401k, or if your investments are working for you. Some of you may just have your financial advisors or your wealth managers kind of handling your money. Those of you that are working with CPAs, you're kind of letting them kind of handle the money. If you're working with tax attorneys, they got your money. But and sometimes it's because you just don't want to deal with it. And there may be an underlying wound or current wound or something that's kind of stopping you, or giving you, some kind of negative feelings when it comes to dealing with your money. So I won't delve a lot into that today, but just let you know that was one area of coaching that I really like to do when I'm working with my clients, because retirement is not just about the math, right? The retirement is about life, lifestyle, relationships, etc. And so I like to just say this one more time, that wealth is the result of recoding or reprogramming the mind, healing any money wounds that may exist, and then applying the principles that we're going to teach you about how to grow your money. Reprogramming our mind is a proven science. Therefore, we're going to challenge the status quo today, okay? We're going to talk about some old paradigms and some new paradigms. I call this defective code. Some of the things that we've been taught, some of the things that that are plaguing Americans, they kind of got some defective code. I'm a technologist, so we deal with defective code. And so we're gonna challenge the status quo. We're gonna challenge some of those paradigms, some of those nuances when it comes to where to put our money, how to deal with our money. What is life insurance? Why do I need to be in the stock market? Why do I need to be looking at estate planning? We're gonna challenge some of those status quos today, and then by applying what I call a technological approach. I've got a 7-step process that I want to just introduce to you today. First, you look and analyze where you are in your finances. Where are you in retirement planning? What is your desire for your money? What do you want your money to do for you? How do you want it to show up? What do you want it to accomplish? Got to create a desire there, strong desire. Then we come together with your professional and you design a plan. Not just give your money and then just contribute, and then whatever happens to it, wealth is going to happen by osmosis. We know that's not right, right? So design, what does that design plan look like? What skills do we need to develop? What skills do we need to develop when it comes to our money, our retirement planning? And then test. Life is testing you. Life creates an environment that's going to test what practices and habits and processes you have in place right now. Some of us may feel like we're being tested already, right? With all the COVID and the monkeypox and the volatility in the stock market, and maybe some of us are taking care of our aging parents. We're being tested. Then the manifest, or the execution of that plan. Once you analyze, create your desire, have a design, develop the skills and the processes that you need in this planning process. Once you go through the testing, then now you can execute. You can manifest your desire. You can manifest what I call the prototype of that plan that you put together. And then the 7th step is the monitoring your results. So take a snapshot of this. It's going to be in the recording later. But this is called soul development. This is how you start changing your mind and reprogramming your mind around some of the old paradigms when it comes to retirement income planning. So our learning objectives today, really, really quick and easy. We're going to learn about my favorite topic, the 3 buckets of money. We're going to learn to maximize your cash flow in retirement. We're going to learn strategies to reduce or eliminate taxes in retirement. And then I want you to feel more comfortable about your retirement contribution choices. We want you to be in control. Some of the strategies that we're going to talk about are being implemented right now by financial institutions. Where do they put their money? Okay. How do they prepare their top executives for their retirement plans? And what do the wealthy and the elite do with their money? Okay, some of these little hidden strategies we're gonna touch on today. I have a question for you, and those of you that are on the call, some of you are gonna listen to this later, but those of you that are with us today, I'm gonna please put this answer to this question in the chat. What are you retiring to? What are you retiring to? A lot of us talk about what we're retiring from, the job that we're leaving, the business that we're scaling and selling. I'm retiring from. But what are you retiring to? Because see, once the income is planned, once the math is done, now you are going to be living in retirement. One of the a lot of the experts that work in this industry say that it's not really the math that is the big problem. It's the life after you've worked for 30 years, after you've run your business for 30 or 40 years, after you've had this corporate executive job, this full career, learning how to balance family and career. Now what? That's what I really want you, as I'm going through this presentation today, I really want you to just take some notes off to the side and think about it. DeLayna, that's a good question. Not just what I'm retiring from, but what am I retiring to? Am I going to be with my kids? Let me tell you something. I'm an instant grandma. My granddaughters are 20 and 21. And guess what? They're not trying to hang out with Grams. They love me, but I can't plan my life around hanging out with them because they got their own life. What are we going to be doing? What are you retiring to? So if you want to drop that in the chat, and I don't know, Sasha, if you can grab some of those, and we can talk a little bit about maybe towards the end. But what are you retiring to? Just go ahead on and drop some of those answers in the chat. Let's look at the old paradigm. The old paradigm of what we've been taught over the years as it pertains to retirement is that we're going to work for the same company our whole career. Remember your parents or your grandparents? If they were, I'm from the country, like I said, I'm from here in North Carolina. My parents and grandparents were military. So they, my dad was able to retire. My cousin retired. They were in the military, most of their whole life. Working for the same company your whole career. Old paradigm, retire at 65 and receive a pension, okay, retirement check. Rely upon Social Security for supplemental income. The old paradigm is, less emphasis on one's own investments. We didn't really worry about investing. And then investments, if we did, they just paid for supplemental retirement needs. It wasn't anything that we were really going to think about living on. That was just, something that, why? Because we had our pension. We worked for the same company forever. They were going to take care of us. They directed how much was going into our retirement. They directed how they were going to, fund that pension. And then they did the calculations to make sure that it was going to last throughout our, mortality. But let's look at the new paradigm. What does the new paradigm say? What are the new data showing us? That the average person, look at this, the average person now works for 7 different companies during their career. How do you build a retirement from that? 7 different companies during their career. Do you think you're going to get a pension with 7 different companies? Now the 401k has replaced the pension for many. So what does that mean? The retirement for many is mostly self-funded. See, when you had a pension, the company did the calculations. They made sure that your money was going to outlive you, okay? But now, if we're working for 7 different companies, now your retirement is on you to plan. It's on you to fund. And it's on you to determine whether or not you're going to outlive that money or that money going to outlive you. New paradigm. The Social Security may cover very little of your lifestyle requirements because, especially as women, women are putting less in Social Security. Why? Because we're the ones, if the kids get sick, we stop working. To take care of our aging parents, we stop working. To have children, we stop working. See a trend? So women, your Social Security is probably going to be less if you're married than your husband's, because you're the one that will put a halt to your career. You are the one that put a halt to your contributions because you want to make sure that your brother, sister, auntie, uncle, grandparents are taken care of financially. You're the first one that'll go and borrow against your 401k to make sure that something with the house is taken care of, etc. So women's retirement savings are almost double-digit percentages less than what men are doing. Okay, this is the new paradigm. This is something I want you to think about. And number 5, some of us never fully retire, but choose to stay engaged at some level. Like I said, what are you retiring to? Are you going to still be working? Are you going to open up a business? You know, there's some other lifestyle events that's going to happen in this new paradigm. So let's talk about the 3 buckets of money. Okay, you said, DeLayna, what are you talking about? Well, we have a silent partner in our earning power who is called the IRS, okay, the Internal Revenue, okay, Service. And they have coined basically 3 types of accounts that where we can actually put our money or where our money goes and grows, okay? It is, I'm sorry, taxable, write this down, taxable, tax deferred, and tax free or tax advantage. Okay, taxable, and we'll talk about that, tax deferred, or tax advantage. So I have another question for you before we dive into that. I want you to think about your current spending habits. Okay, current spending habits. You said, DeLayna, you talk about the buckets. Well, those buckets represent how you answer this question. How you put money into those buckets are determined by our spending habits. Do your spending habits reflect your priorities? If you open up your bank account right now, you open up your investment account right now, if you open up your asset statements right now, all the debits that go out of that income statement, of that asset statement, do they really reflect where your priorities are? Or are you habitually spending outside of your value? That's why we talk about retirement income planning, because our spending habits are sometimes bumping up against the priority of really planning for our retirement. Okay, so that's one of those little side notes that I wanted to throw in there before we go deep today. Let's talk about the taxable bucket. Every year you pay taxes on the growth of these accounts, okay? Your savings account, mutual funds, money markets, stocks, bonds, certificates, okay? Okay, and what are some of the pros and cons to a savings account? Savings account, money markets, certificates or CDs. What are some of the pros? You can get to it, okay? It's liquid. You can put your hands on it, okay? Mutual funds, you can you can get to it. Stocks, you can get to it, okay? Bonds. What are some of the cons though? You're paying taxes. You've got limitations. You're penalized, if you try to liquidate it. Okay, think about that. That's the taxable bucket. What also happens with the taxable bucket is taxed. Okay, that's the biggest con, is that it is taxed. You're gonna be taxed on the growth of these accounts. Example, look at your income, look at your paycheck. You've got a gross amount, and then you have a what class? A net amount. What happened in between the gross and the net? It's called taxes. So imagine your savings, all the money that you've been putting away for years, going from gross to net. Okay, that's the taxable bucket. The pros, again, liquid, you can get to it. Okay, the cons over here is taxable, and they may lose value. 1099s may cause Social Security to be taxed. What? Did you even know that your Social Security could be taxed? Yes. There's something called the provisional income that the IRS does as a calculation. And if you have too much money in that provisional income bucket, then up to 85% of your Social Security that you're going to be receiving can be taxed. Up to 85%. So if you're going to get $1,000 in Social Security and you have too much in that provisional income bucket, $850 of your Social Security can be subject to income tax. Okay, think about that, write that down, note that. Taxable bucket continued, makes great for emergency funds. Okay, why do you want to keep a little, in your savings? Why do you want to keep a little, in those liquid accounts? Because you need an emergency fund. And experts say that you want to keep at least 6 months worth of living expenses readily available. Refrigerator goes out, tires got to be replaced. Something happens, the plumbing goes out. Our heating, our air conditioner, went out upstairs, and because we have two zones, okay. So and so we had to have the air guy come out. That was $1,700. I'm living in North Carolina, so I could pay the $1,700, or we could burn up when we went upstairs. So guess what I had to do? Pull out the $1,700. Where did I get it? Went straight to our checking account. Okay, because we make sure that we keep at least 6 months worth of living expenses for emergencies in there. Okay. What are the risks associated with having too much money in the taxable bucket? First of all, number one, tax inefficiency. In other words, you are going to your money's going to be exposed to taxes. Okay. And then inflation risk. Prices of things are going up. So if you're living off of the net after things are taxed, then that means less money going towards the $5 a gallon gas tank. Okay. So this is a big bucket, and it's where a lot of people have their money, but you may have too much money in that bucket. This is going to be exposed to taxes. So one of the things that we talked about in our learning objectives today, was positioning ourselves so that we can have the maximum accountability to spend every year in retirement, and then make sure that we are minimizing our taxes. Okay. So we want to make sure that anything over 6 months worth of living expenses, we may want to be looking at what else we can do with that money, okay, to get it out of that taxable bucket. The double compounding problem, double interest. You pay interest when you get paid, and then you're paying tax when you get paid, and then you're paying tax again because of the provisional income. When you turn your mutual fund or your CD, when you turn that into income, now you're being taxed again. So we got the double compounding issue. Okay. Let's talk about the tax deferred bucket. That is something that people, most of the people, okay, have their money in a tax deferred account. What are some of the pros in that? There's no taxes as your money grows, but you do pay taxes upon distribution. Let's see what some examples are. Any of these accounts look familiar? I'm sure they do. Your 401k, okay? IRAs, 403bs, 457s. For my self-employed, we got our simple and we have our SEPs for self-employed. Tax deferred. What happens in the tax deferred state? That means you're waiting later. We call it taxes on layaway because they're coming, okay? Or tax procrastination. You are going to have to pay taxes on the money upon distribution. In other words, when you turn it into income, or when you take money or withdraw from it, you're going to have to pay those income taxes. And how many people believe that income taxes are going down? No. Most of you believe that income taxes are going up. So when do you want to pay your taxes, ladies and gentlemen? Do you want to pay your taxes on the seed, the money that's going in, or do you want to wait and pay your taxes on the harvest when that's where most of your money has already accumulated? Please write this down. There is no accumulation without taxation in the tax deferred bucket. I'll say that again. Everybody's excited about the accumulation, but there is no accumulation without taxation in the tax deferred bucket. So if you recognize any of these accounts that you have and they ring your bell, then you know that right now you're in the tax deferred bucket, the low hanging fruit. The IRS at any time can determine that the income tax rate is going to go up. And I don't know a bill on the Hill yet that maximizes or put a cap on how high they can raise those those income taxes. I don't know. Maybe some of our good politicians out there, maybe some of our, powerful, people in City Hall or on Congress can let us know. But I don't think there's any bill on the Hill that's capping the IRS right now on how high they can take the income tax rates when you go into retirement and start tapping in to these tax deferred buckets. The common attributes of a tax deferred bucket, okay? Contributions are tax deductible. We talked about that. You make 100,000, you contribute 10,000. Your adjusted gross income is now 90,000. That's what you pay taxes on. Why? Because you got 10,000 that's going into the tax deferred bucket, so you don't have to include that 10,000 in your tax calculation. That's powerful. It's also distributions are taxed as ordinary income. These are the attributes, okay? Distributions also, though, may cause your Social Security to be taxed. We talked about that. I think I beat that horse to death. There's also a penalty if you withdraw your money from any of those tax deferred buckets before 59 and a half. If you're 59 and you try to tap into your tax deferred 401k, SEP, IRA, then you're going to be penalized for that. And then you have a required minimum distributions when you turn age 72. So I say at age 72, they say, hey, DeLayna, you have contributed to your tax deferred bucket long enough. Now it's time for you to take some money out because we want our percentage of our tax bill that we deferred all through your 40 years of working. We want to tap, now we're tapping it on the shoulder. And if you do not pull out that percentage, listen to me, if you do not pull out that percentage, that required minimum distribution for that year, the penalty will be almost 50% of whatever you were supposed to give. You got a 50% penalty. If you were supposed to take out 10,000 and you did not because you just don't want to pay those taxes right now, they can tax you, they can penalize you up to 5,000, up to half of that $10,000 that you were supposed to pay. And then they tax you on top of that. Take a deep breath on that one. Okay, some of us may be far away from 72, but I'm just saying, maybe you can help your grandparents, maybe you can help your parents, maybe you got, maybe some of you are reaching that age and you go, oh my God, DeLayna, I didn't realize it was 50%. Yes, please, I'm not a tax accountant, I'm not a tax attorney. Please talk to your CPA and your tax attorney so they can walk you through some of these items that we're talking about as far as protecting yourself from this tax deferred bucket. Tax deferred does not mean you never pay taxes, it's just later. Let's now talk about my favorite bucket, the tax advantage bucket. And there's many different investments that masquerade as tax advantage. In other words, they say they're tax-free or tax advantage, but they may not be fully taxed. That means free from state, federal income, capital gains, okay? Municipal bonds, they say they're tax-free, but if I buy a municipal bond in South Carolina and I live in North Carolina, am I going to be able to get that tax advantage? No. Okay. Oil and gas? No. Okay. Tax advantage investments must pass two different tests. Let's see what that is. Free from all taxes. That's what I said, from federal, state, tax, capital gains. And they also, the distributions cannot cause your Social Security to be taxed. That is a true tax-free or tax advantage account, one that is free from all taxes and one that does not cause your Social Security to be taxed. That's how you can determine whether or not the account you have your money in is truly tax-free. Examples of tax advantage investments. Roth IRAs, woo! Roth 401ks and Roth conversions. So to help you minimize your taxes, I want you to, if those of you that are still working, I want you to find out from your benefits counselor, your benefits agent, your HR, whoever's servicing your retirement accounts. Do they offer Roth IRAs? Do they offer Roth 401ks? Okay. Can you do a Roth conversion? I do Roth conversions all day. All right. Why? Because these are true tax advantage investments. You pay your taxes now on the seed of your income, and you contribute to the Roth IRA, that Roth 401k, and then when you turn the income on in retirement, there is no tax on your distribution. That's what's so powerful about this tax advantage bucket, because I promise you, when you're looking at your $1 million 401k or 403b, and you start turning that income on, and it's still sitting in that tax deferred bucket, when you have to pay the IRS $300,000 or more, you are not going to be happy. And you're going to say, why didn't I do something about this when I was contributing? Why didn't I know about these accounts that I could have been contributing to while I was working, so that now I can minimize my tax risk? That's why we're having this conversation today. And this is powerful. This is kind of my lane right here. Some properly structured cash value life insurance policy is another example of a tax advantage investment or tax advantage contribution. Life insurance properly structured. Not everyone knows how to do it, so it's not one outfit fits all. Okay, you got to work with somebody who knows what they're doing. All right. A lot of people would say with life insurance, and the experts out there, quote unquote, that are telling you that you don't want to waste your time in life insurance, and life insurance is a waste of money, and okay. Do you have a $70 million building that paid cash free and building another ground? Um, are you listening to people who don't even have children that are telling you not to buy life insurance and life insurance is a waste of time? Who are they leaving their legacy to? You got to be careful of who you're listening to. Make sure that you are talking to your financial advisor that understands the power of a strategically, properly structured cash value life insurance policy that is truly tax free, that you can contribute to, that will grow, moderate growth, and protect your principal and protect your principal from volatility of the stock market. There's so much power in those properly structured cash value life insurance policies, and we can definitely reach out. Reach out to me, email me. We'll get you some more information on that. Let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about the Roth IRA. Contribution limit $6,000 per person. Catch-up provisions, 7,000 after 50, you can contribute. These are your annual contribution limits, okay? The distributions do not cause Social Security to be taxed, and the principal is liquid from day one. So as soon as you put you're building your principal in your Roth IRA, is liquid. You have access to it, okay? To avoid penalty on the growth, you still must be 59 and a half, and must have held your Roth IRA for at least 5 years. Okay, some limitations there, and you must meet income parameters. Let's move on. Roth IRA income limits. You can take a look at that. If you're married, 204,000, it ends at 214,000. If you're single, 129,000, it ends at 144,000. And the contribution limits decrease as you approach the end of your phase out range. This is one of my favorite, your Roth 401k. You can contribute up to 20,500 per year under age 50, and contribute up to 27,000 age 50 and older. 100% of your contribution may go to a Roth 401k. And if your company is matching, they will also match your Roth 401k, but they're going to put their match in your traditional 401k because they're not going to pay your taxes for you. Okay, so just know that when you contribute to a Roth IRA, your companies will still match you, but they're going to put their match in your traditional 401k so that you can pay the tax on it. That's a little caveat there. Okay, match must be contributed again to the 401k. You can see I know my presentation here. Okay, so in summary, there are 3 basic types of accounts in which to save for retirement. We talked about it: taxable, tax deferred, and tax advantage. If taxes are likely to be higher in the future, there is a mathematically ideal amount to have in each account or bucket. The taxable bucket, we talked about it, 6 months worth of income. The tax deferred bucket, a low enough balance that the requirement minimum distribution can be offset by your standard deduction. Again, talk to your CPA regarding this. Tax advantage, anything above and beyond the ideal amounts in the first 2 buckets, you want to put in your tax advantage bucket. Why? Because the more money we can move from that tax deferred or that taxable bucket over to the tax-free bucket, you're going to be poised in retirement to be as close to the zero tax. You're going to earn and keep more of your money when you're not giving it to the IRS. Okay? Tax advantage investment is free from all three types of tax. Remember that: state, federal, and capital gains. And it does not cause your Social Security to be taxed. Forensic accounting, I love this term. It says forensic accounting utilizes accounting, auditing, and investigative skills to conduct an examination into the finances of an individual or business. Corporations do forensic accounting of their records all the time. That's what keeps them solvent. That's what keeps them in business. We want you to look at your money. Where is it? What bucket is it sitting in? How are you earning it? Where and what are you retiring to? Do some forensic accounting in your own, do an investigation of your own financial life. Okay, this is your money. This is your life. We had a show back in the day, that said, this is your life. If companies are doing forensic accounting, I want you to start practicing to make sure that you are looking at your money. Okay, this is your wealth work. He said, DeLayna, wealth work? Yes, this is your wealth work. Okay, number one, open your mail. And I know you're laughing, but when it comes to our bank statements, income statements, asset statements, we just keep them in the envelope. We don't even open it. We just go to the mailbox, open it, and we just put it off to the side. Open your mail. Spend time reading its contents. Open it. You may find charges that you don't need, or that you missed. You may find mistakes. You may be leaving money on the table. You may see that you are in a term policy that's going to term out next year, and now you got to run and try to find life insurance. Open your mail. Take note of what needs your immediate attention. Like I said, if you find a mistake, you may need to make a phone call. If you got policies that are expiring, or maybe you need to, maybe you had a life event and you need more life insurance. Okay, maybe you need to sit down with your accountant because you have a tax event that you need to solve for. Maybe it's time for those required minimum distributions. Maybe you want to switch from the market is going crazy. You want to call your benefits agent again and say, hey, let's move some of my money from a aggressive funds to more conservative funds. Open your mail, read the content. Okay, print your last bank statements with activity and transactions. Find out what's been going in and out of your account. You wouldn't just leave your door open for your house and let anybody come in and out. So pay attention to your bank statement. What's coming in and out? Who has access? What creditor? What Target? What Walmart? What Best Buy? Who has access? Who's tapping your account? Where are you spending your money? Remember, I put that little slide that little sentence in there that says, does your bank account represent your true values, your spending habits? When you look at your bank statement, you can see whether or not your spending is keeping up with your values. Print or gather your asset statements, okay? Life insurance policies. Some of you don't even open this. You don't even know what you bought. You don't even know what you have, okay? 401k. Look at your statements. Look at how your funds are doing. See what you're contributing versus what your company is matching. View your IRAs, your stock certificates. Okay, look at your mail. Find your money. Meditate. I've got a Diamond Wealth Declaration. I'll send that out, as a handout. That'll be a part of the recording. I'm gonna give you that Diamond Wealth Declaration. And then journal your thoughts and emotions, which are triggered by these exercises. If you start opening your mail and you start looking at your content, you start looking at your statements, you're calling your CPA and your advisor, and you're starting to feel funky in your gut, write that down. Maybe there's some things are being triggered. Maybe you're a little nervous about retiring. Maybe you don't know exactly what you want to do in your retirement, and you need to talk to somebody. Journal that. Pay attention to that. Mary Morrissey says, notice what you're noticing. Okay, that's your wealth work. And you can reach me at womenwithwealth.com. I love to hear from you. You can subscribe. You can look me up on LinkedIn, DeLayna Elliott, I believe, and reach out to me on social media. I want to hear how this wealth work, is going for you. I'm very, very excited about that. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, the math is easy. I know it's hard to look at, but numbers don't lie, and there's no emotion associated with numbers. So the math is easy. Looking at which bucket your money is in, looking at how much you have. Do you have more than your 6 month? Do you have more than 500,000 in your taxable bucket? Where's your money? What are the numbers? The math is easy. What's not so easy is determining your lifestyle in retirement and what that needs to look like for you. Okay. I'm going to just give some time for questions and answers. I'm not sure how many are actually on the call. If there are some questions, you can drop it in the chat. And if we have some time, I think I still have Sasha and Larissa on with me. If there's some questions, that you would like to ask, please drop it in the chat. And if Sasha, if you can read that for me, that would be great. If we don't have any, if you think about some things later, please reach out to me at womenwithwealth.com and subscribe. I've got a contact, form that you can fill out. You can ask me anything. And if I don't know that particular answer, I've got a team of CPAs, tax attorneys. I've got people that know this stuff in and out. I've got millionaire mentors that I rely on. Like I said, my lane is life insurance, annuities, retirement income planning, and I help and coach women specifically, but not exclusively. Again, my husband and I work together as a team, so we do, men and women alike. But my specialty is to really, really help women have a savvy, healthy relationship with money. So while I'm rambling, are there any questions that can be asked? I see something flashing in the chat. Oops.
DeLayna, while we wait for questions to come in, some people did answer the retirement 2 question. Would you like me to read those out?
Yes, please. That'd be great. Thank you.
So from Pamela Parson Williams, they said that rest and relaxation and wanting to do volunteer work and be able to help their community is a big goal for them.
Wonderful.
Kelly Hall and Evelyn Tate both said that they want to travel, and Evelyn also said she's interested in community service and music lessons.
Awesome.
Constance said that she wants to retire into financial freedom.
Yes.
So those are. We have a question from Teresa Leiden, who asks, is there an age where it no longer makes sense to enter into tax advantaged investments?
Is there an age where it just doesn't make sense to do that anymore?
Yeah.
Let me answer that question by asking a question. How long do you expect to live, right? What's your longevity of your family? And then how long do you want to have your money be taxed coming out of whatever vehicle it's sitting in? So if you're consistently, contributing to your tax advantage buckets, and you turn that money on as income, and it's coming out tax free, if the amount of money that's coming out of that bucket is enough to cover your expenses, is enough to live the lifestyle that you want, then you don't really have to contribute anymore, right? Because that money is growing and is turned on as income, and you're living your life. But if you are diversified, let's say you still have money in the market, you got stocks and bonds, and then you got real estate, and you got other things that could be taxable or turn into a tax event, then you want to start moving more of that money into those tax advantage buckets, because the older you get, the more money you earn, the more money is exposed to taxes. So I hope that I've answered that sufficiently enough. And if not, please reach out to me so we can dive more, into the reason for the question. Great question. Thank you.
Paula Daniel just asked, I've heard that fees are significant for both annuities and universal life insurance. What would our typical versus reasonable fee percentages for annuities? So what are typical versus reasonable fee percentages for annuities?
The majority of the fees overall, as far as over the life of that annuity, whether it's 7 years or 10 years, is usually 1.5%. Some of those are front loaded, so it may seem like you have more costs when you look at it initially. You go, oh my God, the first 2 years, you're probably gonna freak out. You're like, oh my gosh, where's my money? But over the life of that annuity and over the life of that index universal life policy, the average is about 1.5%.
Those are currently all of the questions. We still have a few minutes if anyone would like to submit any further questions.
DeLayna, this is Larissa.
Hi.
Hi, can you talk about the different types of life insurance policies?
Yes.
Which
Yes, I
one
can.
you can pull from before you officially retire?
Okay.
Talk a little bit about that.
Okay, yes, I'll go down the line really quickly here. So term life is basically exactly that. It is term for a specific term, whether it's 10, 15, 20, or 30 years. That means that the term policies are usually for younger people, and they're usually for specific things like your mortgage. If you have debt that you want to, designate, because the term policy is good because it's going to be less cost for the amount of insurance that you have. Okay, so term is that, but it is term. So once the 10 years is up, if you outlive that 10 years, then you don't have any more life insurance. Okay, so when you think of term and for a reason, for a specific event. Okay, like again, a lot of times, for your mortgage, because you're paying your mortgage down, people will get what we call mortgage protection. They'll use a term policy for that, because once that mortgage is paid down, if something happens to them and while they're working, unexpected death, then that whole mortgage can be paid off at little cost because it's a term policy. The next policy is a whole life, which basically means it is a dividend paying whole life policy. It's going to last your whole life. There's usually a guaranteed cost. There's a guaranteed rates, and it's also a guaranteed premium. Really no flexibility. Once you say you're going to pay $300 a month, that's what you're paying, right? But there's also, you can pay up to 20 years. So you pay for that for the 20 years. You don't have to pay anymore. It's going to last your whole life. That's one of the features of a whole life policy. The index universal life is the kind of a hybrid between the term policy as far as insurance cost and the whole life benefits of a permanent whole life benefits of a whole life policy. So it's a little less than a whole life policy would cost, but it lasts longer or your whole life, which basically gives you, again, the best of both worlds. It's average cost for the amount of insurance, but it's going to be indexed, which means that it's going to follow the index, the S&P 500, the Russell 2000, Barclays, and the growth on that account because it's a cash value policy, and the whole life is a cash value policy as well. But the index universal life is going to be credited. The carrier is going to credit that account as if that money was actually in the stock market. Your money is never in the stock market, but they credit your account based on the growth that they are experiencing in the market. So that's the index universal life. So you have a universal life, again, which are usually is based on the growth that the carriers are having, and it's usually the account that sits inside the carrier and how that account is growing, they credit your account. The index universal life, they're actually monitoring and crediting your account based on the indexes, like again, like I said, the S&P 500, etc. So those are the four main accounts that are as far as life insurance is concerned.
Thank you, DeLayna. That was excellent. Thank you.
I think those are all of our questions for today.
Okay. Well, I am so excited. We are 2 minutes before the 2 o'clock hour. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Thank you for being on this wealth journey. I am your Diamond Wealth Coach, DeLayna Michelle Elliott, W3 Women with Wealth Institute, and my passion is to educate you. My passion is to make sure that you retire rich, retire right, and that you're growing your money like you want to grow. You're in control of your money, and that you're able to do four things: to earn, to multiply, to protect, and then transfer your wealth to the next generation. So hopefully this will give you just a high level view of how you can be the designer of your retirement income plan. Thank you again. Reach out to me, womenwithwealth.com. You can email me at DeLayna, DeLayna, at womenwithwealth.com. I look forward to hearing from you. You can go to my website and under appointments and get a complimentary interview and analysis. We walk through some of your income and asset statements with you, help you with some of those goals, walk you through that seven-step process, and we're here for you. So with that said, I'm going to say welcome again, thank you, and have a wonderful day. You're born for greatness. Life demands it. Take care.